Flow Riders, and welcome to the Flow. It is now time to get another flow in the can. I can't believe I'm looking at this. My favorite number is 22 and 8, and we're on 122.
122, baby. 122. And that's with breaks.
Crazy.
That's
with
pretty
breaks.
awesome.
Man, that's crazy, right? We're going to do this for a couple weeks to see how we like it and see if the fans like it. So
this is a very meta show. This is podcasting about podcasting about podcasting about podcasting,
right?
For podcasters.
So it's like Seinfeld, but it proves that momentum is king. And I always say to people, it's really hard to start pushing a parked car, but once that sucker gets going, you know it's harder stopping it. So in a way, like this really does prove that point out extremely well. It's much harder to push a parked car. So here we are, 122. What are we talking about today, Kates?
We are talking about how to use a tool like Ecamm to be able to record once and be done. So we're calling it either one take recording or live to tape or live to drive. But this idea of planning, putting your outline into Ecamm and then just going so that we stop the overthinking. We've been talking a lot lately about overthinking and perfectionism and panicking. So now we're going to be on the other side of it talking about, okay, what do you do once you let that go? How do we just record? How do we just record and be done?
I like this. All right. So man, there's so many things about that. I last week we were doing Creators Unstuck, Lou and I, and I was talking to people about, I've been listening to Gary a lot, and Gary Vee has been really on this mission of telling people that you need to put out more random content. And see, everything was so polished about social media. Yep. And one of his current rants is also the same as one of my current rants, and that is social media isn't very social anymore. Yes. Social media is very peacocky and performative and, hen strutting, acting like, like everything I do is correct and so forth, so on, et cetera. And it's yesterday, Brandon was speaking about with Jaden about the sort of guru-dom, like everybody wants to be a guru. And the strange thing is there's people who will watch another creator's stuff and grok that pretty well. I shouldn't use that term, but understand it pretty well. That's what grok means. It doesn't mean the name of that dude's thing. and turn that into like, I'm going to create the same content talking about the same thing. So I'm basically going to repeat it, but you don't really mean it, or you don't really understand it well, or you haven't, actually practiced it. You're just repeating it without practice. And in a very similar way that, people spread strange informations about UFO sightings and whatnot, it's the same thing that people do with that type of content. And so now there's a whole bunch of people telling you how to go viral on the internet, many of which have never gone viral, which, number one, you kind of don't want to. Like, it's just not really a thing. But that word is just, so popular. And what happens is there is not a lot of sharing the real you. So that's why everybody thinks they have to be perfect. Is we had too much of people showing the perfect vacation. No one's showing you sitting in the airport with the 4-hour delay with your face in a wrinkle. Well, not us. We would be in the Amex lounge drinking that wine, but nobody sees everybody. It's looking weird. Everybody just like, oh, look here, I'm in my famous beautiful place. Pan out and show the dirt on the ground, kind of thing. Yeah. So, look, we're at Disney. Show the Disney line. Show that.
Yeah.
Show the pouring down rain and Louise trying to keep Aiden dry while we're getting drenched, having a good time. But we're getting drenched. Show those. Those are more fun, right? So you don't really see that. So I think that's cool.
I think we're in this like really perfect time right now, and
that's funny.
Honestly getting better and better as it goes on. Not perfectionisty time, perfect time, in that we have this huge rise of AI and even more with Sora and the updates that are happening there. Like it is becoming more and more a space where we are not trusting of what the content is on the other side, right? We don't know whether or not that was created by robots or created by people, right? So we're in a robots versus people kind of world and scenario, which means that the more raw and real and live that you're willing to be, the better, because you can show up as what is inherently human, right? Like messiness, inconsistencies, squirrels, right? All of it. Like we now
like
have
Paul's mouse
permission.
moving around in the document just now. I was like,
Exactly, right? Like we now have permission to be able to just show up as ourselves. And I think that that's really freeing for a lot of people who were really trying very, very hard to look really polished and to look really professional because they felt like that was what, and I include myself in this, but like we all felt like that was what would give us credibility and would earn trust, was this idea of like, I'm an expert. I know what I'm talking about. I'm showing up professionally. I'm wearing my business suit. We talked about how the video is the new business suit. I think now we're in a space where we can shake that off a little bit. What really matters is being able to connect with people, build an audience, share your passion, share your knowledge, but don't feel like you need to be anything other than yourself. And so if you have not been feeling that yet, I give you permission to feel that. Be the anti-robot, and let's all use AI and all these tools to help us become better people, better humans in the video space, right? Like let's use them for all the other things that we don't need to be doing to help us be more creative and be more present and be more human in these spaces. So I think it's a cool time to be using Ecamm. It's a cool time to be live streaming and to be creating all of this content because we just have permission to just be ourselves and be a little messy about it. Doesn't have to be great all the time. It can be a little messy.
It's funny when you say that because I think about so everyone knows that probably the most genius person that we know of would be considered to be Einstein. And he was somewhat of a perfectionist. But if you know anything about his biography, he's an absolute mess. And he was a walking train wreck.
Yep.
And he showed it. He never really hid it. That's why everybody in the beginning didn't think he was, this brilliant person. Also, he was going against the people in this country that were trying to do heinous things, and they weren't about that. But yeah, like here, the smartest, I almost said that wrong. The smartest person that we could probably put on record, like one of the most brilliant, genius people in the world, absolute mess. And if you go through history, you think about the people who are the real experts, like the brilliant geniuses, they tend to be messy. And think of Columbo. Well, you might be too young for Columbo, but I don't even know. Okay, just checking. Okay, Paul knows Columbo on a first name basis, but you think about Columbo, and that was a thing. Like it's always the brilliant one in these characters. Throughout history, have always been a little bit messy, but they were super brilliant. Edgar Allan Poe, one of my favorites, right? Absolute mess. Just absolute mess. So it goes to show that you can still be that person who is the best at their, game and live tops, but you don't have to walk like, I was going to say walk like an Egyptian. You don't have to come by looking like a robot. All right. So what's the first tip you have for someone when it comes to the one stake mindset, or is there any groundwork we should do first?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot because this was actually a pretty big shift for me. So I'm going to give a little bit of background. So I apologize if it's repetitive for some people who have been on this journey with me. But when I first joined the Ecamm team, I have come from a copywriting and writing background, right? So I was like blogging, doing social media. I worked in publishing for a while. So for me, like video already was really intimidating. I did not have the skill set to know, how to record video. I didn't know what a run of show was, any of this kind of stuff. And I jumped immediately into the world of live streaming. So I was figuring all of that out. And that definitely is a different space than a recorded video. And now I'm on this other side where now I do a decent amount of recorded video as well as live video. But the midpoint, and I think a decent starting, I say all that because I think a decent starting point is really thinking through video production in Ecamm as preparing for a presentation, right? So the way that Ecamm works and the way that it's structured is in this idea of profiles, scenes, and overlays, right? We've been talking a ton about this across all the Ecamm channels forever. So your recording or your show or whatever it is that you're doing is your profile. That's like everything that you have. But then I really want you to think about the scenes as like presentation slides, because if you can get yourself in that mindset and think about it in the structure and the order of how those how those go. You want your intro, which is ideally your hook. Doc would say that's your hook. They say how you're hooking them in, right? This could work for live video or for regular video, but you want your hook. Then you want no more than 3 points. Okay, so the 3 things you're gonna go through and talk about, and then you want your outro, which is probably just a reiteration of your hook, right? So like that's it, and that's it. That's the structure of any video. Whether it's a short video, a long video, a live stream, a tutorial, whatever. You hook, no more than 3 points, reiteration of hook at the end as a closing statement, CTA, okay, call to action at the end, right? So those are your scenes. You already have them structured. And the cool thing about it is, back when I was trying to record videos and be perfect, I would write out the entire script, right? Like I had an outline, and then I would write out a script because I'm a writer. And then I literally would sit there like this. I still do this all the time. I like put my face into the microphone because I wouldn't read the script properly. I didn't have the script memorized the way I wanted, or I would say it and then I'd be like, I don't like how I say that. And I would just hit the end button, or I'd hit the pause button, and then I'd feel horrible, right? But the cool thing is, if you don't have a script, if you just use your run of show and your scenes as your outline, then you don't have the talking points in your head that you're going to say wrong, quote unquote, say wrong. So you can just work your way through it. Like, call your hook scene, literally name that scene in Ecamm the hook, right? Like why we're screwing everything up and the truth behind it, whatever that is. Write it out as your hook, and then name the scenes your 3 points. So they literally are your outline visually in front of you in Ecamm, and just flow through it. And the cool thing is we're adding all the graphics, and you can even add them as bullet points as overlays in Ecamm, right? And add it all out. But then once you get in the habit of doing that, you find that you actually don't need the like detailed outline on the side. You don't need the teleprompter. You don't need all these other things, because you've just gotten in the habit of, you know what you're going to say anyway. That's why you're making the video. You have some level of expertise or knowledge in it, right? Hook, 3 points, reiteration of hook, call to action. Literally use it as like how you flow through your content, your run of show, your presentation. All of that can literally just be built out in Ecamm, and then you're done. You're done. So you go from like the pain of like, I just need to do this again. I need one more take. I said it wrong. Like all of that, like, which I have been there with you, into just like, if you can get really good at thinking about your slides, your presentation slides, your scenes in Ecamm, the rest of it is easy. I promise, because I've been doing it a bunch lately, and if I can do it, you can do it. And like, obviously there's gear and tech and everything that Doc is super knowledgeable about, but that's the core. That's the core of it.
Yeah.
It's just getting in the habit of being able to practice.
And we've seen this get derailed in public so many times. Okay, prime example. I'll give you 2 prime examples. I'll show you the one that doesn't work and the one that works. The one that doesn't work, the presenter, very knowledgeable presenter. Mm-hmm. And they made this slide deck that's like epic, so that it looks really good on the giant screen inside the pavilion, right? Mm-hmm. And both of us have watched this train wreck happen at large events.
Oh, probably have done it as well. Not just watched, probably have done it ourselves.
3,000 people sitting there in the chairs or more, and they got the gigantic screens, and they're doing their presentation, and they don't want to get it wrong, so they don't remember what they wrote. So they spend half of their presentation looking at the screens and reading you what it already says in the slides. Yep. This is why Doc doesn't put more than 5 words on the slide. I don't have to read it. I can see what it is the minute it pops up on the floor, right? And that way the conversation is always toward the audience and not the back of my head, which has that weird bump for when I got crashed in football. So that one, and the other one where it actually works, we've all been to a wedding, and the best man or the bridesmaid pull a little paper out, and then they start, and then they just throw it down, grab the beer, and just start talking. And they pace back and forth, and they snitch, and they talk about that one time in Cancun that they weren't supposed to talk about, and the whole 9 yards. But it's much better. Whole room full of people crying. Bride and groom are like happy. Whole different thing. Why? Because they crawled up that stupid piece of paper and they went to the heart, because it's their best person. This person picked you to tell the story of their relationship, dummy. You don't need a paper and notes. You were there. You were there when they tried to break up. You were there when they stayed together. You were there for the birth of the children, like the whole 9 yards. Like, just throw the damn paper away. And I do so many weddings. I have seen the ones that crash because the bridezilla or groomzilla tried to make them stay on script. because they were scared they were going to talk about that one time in Jamaica. And it just never works. But when you let the people just say what they got to say and crumple up the paper and just kind of, maybe if some of the guys got their jokes on a piece of paper, those are fine. But if you try to read the whole thing, it never works, especially if somebody starts bawling. The dumbest ones be a half an hour. And then Natalie, in high school, we used to listen to the fits. And I'm like, swap her out. like we got a schedule. Swap her out. You know, I'm sitting there as the MC losing my mind. So yeah, that's why you really do have to just sort of bring it out. And now, before we dip into the confidence part, because this one drives me bananas. This is a massive pet peeve of mine, because we have been sold a massive bill of goods. I talked to somebody yesterday in the chat with Brandon, and they were talking about having to get the confidence to do X, Y, Z. And they wanted to take a class on how to get the confidence from X, Y, Z. And I'm like, man, it should be against the law. I'm sorry, people. I got friends who do it. I will fight them toe to toe myself. It should be against the law to sell a class on confidence. Yeah, it is not. Well, it is not something you can buy. It is not something you can learn. As a matter of fact, everybody has confidence. You have the confidence to stand in your trust that you can't do it. When you say I can't, you are trusting the fact that you can't do it. Confidence means self-trust. So you are trusting that you can't do it. Now, I told Katie I was going to give her a fastball, a softball, a curveball. I speak English. It's 6 a.m. Leave me alone.
Please give me a softball instead of a curveball. I would appreciate a softball.
I was going to give Katie a curveball about this confidence thing because I want to prove that everybody has confidence. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the weirdest thing that my niece and nephew have stuck into their mouth or nose?
Oh, gosh. That is an interesting one. My kids have been really good about it. I don't think my kids have done anything super
Karen
weird.
Was born an engineer. He probably
I have weird kids in that. But I will. So I'll give you I'll give you two examples.
When you was a kid?
Yeah, from me and my brother. So I used my mom's nail polish, y'all, to paint my eyelids because I thought it was eyeshadow and ended up in the ER. And then my brother, he was little, he put a wire, like if you could remember the old wire hangers, through his lip, like right through, like ended up in the ER. Don't know why. Don't know what he was thinking. So yeah, so my kids have been good, but I definitely tortured my parents.
But you see what I mean? You, as a little kid, until somebody tells you otherwise, you have the confidence to do some dumb things. I put a towel on my neck with the clothespin and jumped out the second story window because Batman.
Yep.
Me and my cousin was playing Batman and Robin. And I'm like, yo, the cape, that's where the flying comes from, the cape, dog. I can fly. Shoom. Right. Lucky there's a bush. I got a little bit hurt. The ass whipping after hurt more than the bushes. But yeah, see, everyone has confidence. It gets taken away from you in third grade when Mrs. Rosen sends you to the blackboard to, do some stuff.
Someone laughs at you.
Being a kid that wore glasses at that time, and, I'm partially dyslexic and ADHD and the whole 9 yards, and they're like, oh, he's supposed to be smart when he can't even read. Because you're at the board, I can't make those things work. And I didn't wear my glasses because, well, 4 eyes, right? You got called 4 eyes. You got called all kind of like satellite dishes, all these weird names. So you're trying to read the problem on the board with no glasses, and you just seem like you're dumb. But on my paper, I can see it. I get the highest grade in the class, right? So the confidence was taken away by somebody else. So I just really want people to stop with this idea that you don't, you don't. I'm laughing at Paul. This idea that you don't have it. You have it. You have the confidence to stand there and keep telling yourself that you can't do it. And that alone is a big deal.
Give it back to yourself. So here are two ways that you can give the confidence back to yourself. So you have to just do the thing that, like, I'll preface that by saying you have to do the thing, whether it's recording or live streaming, whatever form you choose. But have some friends and people that you trust be cheerleaders for you in the comments, whether that's, watching it and cheering you on later or actively cheering you on in the live comments. That will go a long way. Like, there is nothing more rewarding and confidence building than when you're presenting information and having someone pop up in the comments and say, "Oh my gosh, that's a great point," or "That really helped me," or like, laughing at a funny thing you've said. Like, that will go a long way in building your confidence and reminding you, like, "Oh yeah, I'm here to deliver value. I'm here to help people out." Put those people in the chat and tell them that you're feeling not confident and you really want them to, to be honest, but to say helpful things and to contribute to the conversation. If you don't have people or you don't feel confident enough to even ask those people, this is where the robots are awesome, everyone. Let me just tell you. So there have been episodes of this show, I'm just going to be super vulnerable with all of you, where we have gone, in my opinion, super off track. And I've looked at my outline and I've been like, oh no, Doc and I have not given any value in this episode. We've just like chatted away or like said things that I didn't think were helpful or whatever. And then we grab the transcript, which you can do with 8 million different tools. Grab the transcript of your video, put it into whatever your AI friend of choice is, mine is ChatGPT, and have it write you a summary or a blog post or an email of what you talked about in the video. And you sound awesome when the robots go through your actual video content and summarize it all for everyone. You'd be amazed where you're like, wow, this video is super helpful. Look at all these points. So even if you went off track and you don't think the actual video itself was helpful, I'm willing to bet you that it was. I'm willing to bet that maybe you just said too many things and didn't get right to the point, or you and your co-host had a funny moment where you talked about something different. I'm willing to bet that Opus will find those clips for you. Taja will write you a blog article. ChatGPT will do a summary. So send both. Share with your community later the full video, the clips, the blog post, so that people can get the value out of the video, even if you didn't check all the boxes in your mind, even if you didn't hit all the points in your outline. I'm willing to bet that you still created content that was helpful to people. So this is a great instance of using AI for helping, remind you that you are doing much better than you think you are. Because it never ceases to amaze me. Caleb pulls together the email for this show. You can sign up at flow.ecamm.com to our emails. And they always sound like we said genius things, even when I don't feel like we did. So if you need a cheerleader, there are lots of AI cheerleaders out there. And then there are obviously
even if you
also
twist
human
it,
cheerleaders.
Even if you convolute it, which I do, the core message is there. And if you felt like the core message is missed,
exactly.
If you feel like the core message is missed, the chatbots can help you roll it back into something that you then add as the caption. And then when people see it, it provides context. And Paul just put it in the chat. You never know who needed to hear what you said. And that's why I end every video with, I don't know who needed to hear this. Normally I do, because I normally am thinking of Faye before I started the video. So if I'm going to make a video, I'm going to speak specifically to Faye. So at camp, hey campers, Faye and I talked about, picking her new computer. And I'll confess now, don't tell Jill. She had asked the community, and the community was going a little bit of haywire. And rather than create a kerfuffle in the community, I was like, Faye, if you sit on this for 2 weeks, I'm going to see you face to face. We're going to sit down at lunch, and I will tell you the answer from an Apple employee perspective and a current Ecamm employee perspective. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I have way more information.
I'll help break down
MacBook Air works perfectly. So she waited and we had this conversation. So now if I were going to go back and make that video, even though that conversation already happened based on her budget and her needs, and how many people in the community play with puppets all day? Nobody except Faye. So that's why her needs was different from the person who's telling her to buy a MacBook Air that don't work. So we had this, this great conversation. I remember what I told her because, I've said that 1,000 times to 1,000 people. But if I go to make the video this time and do it like you say with the presentation, here are your bullet points, here are the 3 things that you need to know. And it would be like, the current landscape of where computers are, where everybody gets wrong about RAM versus hard drives if you're buying a desktop, and why you should almost never get a laptop unless you abso-freaking-lutely have to be on the road, and then close out. And then I would just pretend as if I'm talking to Faye again. And then it would be fine. And of course, you're going to get the best part about that conversation. So many people are going to argue with you about the laptop thing because everybody loves to have their laptop. But we all know that the desktop has more I/O and better cooling. So, it just, but everybody feels that they need a laptop because I might take it somewhere. I can even guarantee in the chat, except for a handful of people, most people's laptops don't leave their house. Yours goes all over. You're good.
Mine goes all over.
Most people's laptops stay in their house plugged in, and then the battery swells or dies early. And they're like, oh, how come my battery only lasted 2 years? Because you didn't laptop it. You should have bought a mini. It's half the price and designed for what you're actually doing. So, yeah, I think that really that concept of just, lining it up, saying what you got to say, remembering that somebody needs to hear what you have to say. And sometimes even Mary Lou and I would say, I'll make this video for myself. When she says it all the time, you know what? It sounds like I'm yelling at y'all, but I am talking to me too. You have to remind yourself to talk to you too. And of course, Luis would say Mac Minis are small enough to travel with.
I was thinking that as it was going. I was like, these days you could just pack your Mac Mini. We've done that too.
Yeah, that Mac Mini is much lighter than Aiden is nowadays. Aiden is pushing like freaking 60 pounds. Every time Luis picks him up, I can see the strain on his back. I was like, oh, Luis is getting old and Aiden's getting heavy.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I have now gotten into this space and mindset where I do so it's, planning, practicing, and giving yourself and the AI robots have told me that the third one is position, but really is like your physical space, right? So once you've planned out what your video is going to be, you've figured out what the topic is, you've created your simple outline. So hook, couple points, closing with call to action. Then you could practice it. You can go through and again, practice it, and maybe the first practice is great and you're good to go, or practice it in a live space and then figure out how what you might want to tweak and change. But getting in the habit is how you're going to build confidence. Just going and building up that momentum is how you're going to build up your confidence. And then the third thing that we haven't talked about yet is really trying to figure out your physical space. So we talk a lot about studios, and people, as Doc just mentioned, always have 8 million questions about gear and about what things that they need to buy. And it just hit me the other day that I think a lot of that is checklist behavior. So I say this as a checklister. I'm the kind of person that loves a to-do list and a checklist, and I love crossing things off, right? It's really easy when you're thinking about getting into video to be okay, well, I'm going to need a camera, and I'm going to need a light, and I'm going to need a microphone, and I need software, and maybe I need to update my computer. You've made this checklist of all these things that are doable, right? I'm going to ask advice for these things. I'm going to do all these things. And now you've distracted yourself with all of these things that you need, quote unquote, to get started with your video, instead of just practicing the actual content of the video and recording and getting confident with recording. So don't get into checklist mode with your studio space, but if you can, set up a very simple space that you can just step into, turn stuff on, and go, because that is what's going to help you overcome some of those, fears and challenges, etc. So have it plan. When I say plan out, I don't mean giant script and out huge outline. I mean, have Ecamm open, have your couple of scenes built out and named for your hook, your bullet points, and your call to action. And when you're first getting started, don't even worry about the camera or the fancy microphone. Honestly, just use your built-in camera and your built-in microphone to practice and get feeling better. Yeah, there, Doc is setting it up as we go, right? Use your phone.
I just still to show this, the idea of having a setup, your phone tripod should be erect. Don't fold it up every time. And I know somebody in your house is mad at you. So if you want something easier, this is a little round platform. It's just a single stick, and all phones are magnets at this point. So you just come in, you thwack it up there, and you shoot your short content. You got to shoot long content, you rock it sideways. Anybody that came to camp, this is the exact same thing that I had set up with the lights on it at camp. My other one that's here has a full camera, a monitor, a microphone, and a light. And it's designed so that I can make short content without overthinking it. I don't want to sit down. I don't want to do anything. You want to be able to just press a button, go. If you're constantly setting up, taking down, setting up, taking down, setting up, taking down, you will have the excuse of, I don't feel like it today. And
Yep.
everybody says, oh, Faye, tripods have 3 legs. This is one. It's a monopod. Don't, she's going to hit me. She's going to hit me. Sorry, Faye. I will send it in right now, Faye.
Faye, you
But,
can call it a tripod if you want to, if that helps you get in your
That
right
sounds like
headspace.
Thumper,
That's
Katie.
good.
That sounded exactly like Thumper. You can call it a tripod if you want
You
to.
can call it a tripod if you want to. I love it.
But the idea of just being able to go, even Mary Lou, Jill, myself, all of us, Paul, we all have this little clip for the back of our phone. This whole back section is a magnet. Yo, I could thwack this sucker to the fridge and just say whatever. And so we have been out and need to shoot something real quick. And between Mary Lou, Jill, Paul, one of us will just thunk it onto a street sign and hit go and just start talking. And if you can set yourself up for those levels of get this joint done, you will make your job easier. But every time you set up the equipment, okay, let's say you're not a nerd, right? And you have to set up the equipment every time, you're panicking because you're going to plug something in wrong. So even today, before this, Katie set up what we normally do, but don't tell nobody. Ken and Glenn like to be messing around in the office, and somehow Katie plugged in her computer, and the sound was coming out of a monitor and not in her head. And she's like looking at it, thinking about
I'm
it,
like,
and then we couldn't figure it out. So, at least she had the confidence to yank that cord out, plug it back into the computer, and be good. But if you're scared of your equipment all the time because you keep telling yourself you're not a tech person, that's a level of stress that you're adding to yourself that's derailing your confidence to make the video because now you're worried about whether the equipment is going to fail. You know what I mean? You can always tell when a streamer or a person that's doing a presentation, Jeff is one of the most polished presenters in the planet. The mic was tripping. It was driving him nuts. It was absolutely driving him nuts. And luckily, he's polished enough that he powered through it, but it was definitely driving him nuts. And so when Lou went up there, 3 days later, Lou's first thought was, oh, is the mic going to act up on me? But we had already fixed it. But you see what I'm saying? You can set these little seeds of derailment in your head ahead of the game, and then you're worried about it. You know what I mean? So
one of the best decisions I ever made was getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff in my space. Like just because you have access to it or because someone told you that it's a really great piece of gear doesn't mean you need it in your space, because then it adds its complexity. You need to learn how to use it. The more things you have connected in, the more cables can die, the more the tech could play badly. So even if you are a tech person, you are still making things more complicated than you need to. So it is a balancing act of, is what I'm setting up in my space going to actually add benefit to my content that is worth the risk of it all going wrong and me needing to fix it in the moment and derailing the whole situation? And it might not be. For me, it's not. Like, I would rather have quote unquote lower video quality with stuff that I know how to fix and use and feel comfortable using than be in this studio space where anything could possibly go wrong and I would need to run in and get help. So it's worth, again, like kind of practicing and playing and thinking through, because putting yourself in those situations is how you're going to learn how to use the gear, but you also don't need all of the gear to do what you're going to do. A lot of it is just a checkbox. You're like, oh, well, someone told me I needed this thing, so I'm checking that box. You don't necessarily need all those checkboxes checked. It feels good, but you don't.
And we've all done it. I'm not going to say it's bad because we've absolutely done it, but even giving people the list of things that they can buy, because there are people who will buy the entire list and then it doesn't totally match the way that they would do their thing. And so it can really derail you. And again, we all do it because everybody asks for it. Like, we're not going to give you what you ask. We're not going to give you what you asked for. Yeah, okay. I said it right. Listen, it's early still. But, in a way, that's like almost setting yourself up for trauma too, right? Because I also know people who went out and bought this Porsche because somebody told them, you got the money now, you should get a nice car. And they can't drive that thing. Like, it's not the same, as whipping around in your flowered Volkswagen, dog. Like, a Porsche requires some attention. And Paul will never ride with me in a Porsche. Paul's like, that dude is sick with it in the SUV. I'm not going nowhere with that dude in the Porsche.
Yeah. It is
Paul, wait till you get here
and
you get to ride around with me in the Beamer. Wear diapers. I'm just going to let you know. Plus, it's my home turf, and I can't get a ticket. My brother-in-law's a
Danger. Don't
cop.
do it, Paul. Don't do it. Oh man. I think it is a little bit retraining. Like it is retraining our brains as well. Again, like one thing that really made a big difference for me in getting to the other side of confidence and of doing this often and doing things is putting myself in uncomfortable, squishy situations. So again, it comes down to like accountability, and some of us are fine with just personal accountability, and some of us need like accountability from external or other people. So whatever that means to you, like it might be that in order to kind of get through the perfectionism and actually just start creating content, you need to commit to doing it live, because that's the scariest thing. And that's going to just help you stop, turning off the video and getting over yourself, is just committing to doing it live. It might just be as simple as like, I'm telling myself I'm going to record this entire video without pausing or stopping, and I'm just going to use it as is no matter what happens. That might be enough for you, but figure out like what your moment of squishiness is and set that as your goal for video, right? Like for me, it was like, I need to live stream this. That's the scariest. But these days, actually like recording the video without pausing or stopping is actually scarier for me. So figuring out like where those squishy moments are and constantly putting yourself into that space, I think is what's really going to help you get more confident and get the content done, because we do get stuck in these loops of just like, I need to watch more videos about this. I need to ask more people for this. I need to make sure my studio is exactly the way I need it before I start. We need to get past that. So in order to get past it, you might need to commit to doing something that makes you really uncomfortable. And whether that's you tell Doc and I, you can always email us, flow@ecamm.com, and tell us what you want to do. We'll hold you to it. Tell someone else, tell a friend, tell yourself.
Bruce.
Maybe that's enough. Yeah, right? Like Bruce is a great example of that. So, but yeah, it's not fun because you're going to be in that uncomfortable, squishy space for a bit, but that's what's going to help you get out to the other side of it and learn what happens when a cable goes bad, or when your audio comes up in a different place, or when you forget everything that you wanted to say. You're not going to know how to get through that moment without putting yourself in that moment.
Yo, the amount of times that happens is like, it's almost hilarious. And again, so when we first started this, our whole goal was to sort of help people understand how to build a workflow to make this whole situation easier. That's where the name came from and the whole 9 yards, because there was so much talk around building your podcasting workflow. And to your tech standpoint, I am probably one of the nerdiest people in the planet, but anybody who ever really pays attention to my shows, when I'm doing my thing that's not work, I normally have 2, maybe 3 scenes total. I normally use 1 camera angle. Sometimes I'll show the overhead, but I ain't got sliders. I don't got camera things moving around. I don't use animations, transitions, all of this weird stuff. Like, and it's not that it's wrong. I just know better, because if I needed to fix it, I can fix it in post. But you know what doesn't not load properly? A scene with just the camera in it. You know what doesn't have the font not load properly? No overlays. You know what I'm saying? Like, my confidence does not live in how pretty the decorations are. These decorations are cute. Thank you, Marshall. Don't get mad. But my confidence does not live in my decorations. It's the idea, and we all seen it. It's in the movie. I won't even pick on a real person, but somebody that fits that avatar. The dude with the suit in the car and the flashy clothes or whatever, horrible breath or no game, can't think, can't talk, no brain, whatever the case may be. There's so many cliches of the person that's being overly flashy but is absolutely hollow. Or Shallow Hal, that was another good one, another good movie. Does that fit into VH Club?
I think so. It might fall under today.
That's a good
our catch-all category. The today
yeah, category. The today. So those are, I mean, the cliche is so massive because it's real. And so you had mentioned this idea about assuming that the credibility was in showing up flawless. I'm gonna tell you the way to wreck your credibility. The way to wreck your credibility. This is with Elmer Fudd in here, is to be so polished on the interweb And then when you go somewhere in real life, people realize that it was the Wizard of Oz. Like there's nothing behind that facade, like nothing. Stop laughing at me, Andy.
The facade.
There's nothing
I love
behind
it.
the facade, man, and that is the worst ever, bro. That is the worst ever. And I've seen the bubble pop so many times. It's why I know better than to do it. I've seen the bubble happen with musicians when I used to do a lot of concerts, and they're not in the studio and they don't have no auto-tune, and it's like, bruh. Like not everybody is really Ariana, okay? Only a handful of people can really sing like her. And that is a terrible, terrible thing. Like it is horrible. Or, there's a lot of the flashback artists coming back. And I swear to you, we did a concert not that long ago. Ladies of the 80s came back. And one of my favorite things back in the day was like Expose. Oh man, you do not want to see them now. It does not work. It's not the same thing, I was like, Tiffany, she still got it. Debbie Gibson, all right, dope. But some of them, it was all studio, had them working, a lot of music and sound, but they do not sing in real life. Val can sing. Jill, LD, like they can sing. Fulgens is a nice job, Fulgens. Don't tell him I said that.
Oh, he's coming
my God.
after you.
And Ken and Glenn, they can get down. If y'all miss that,
down,
bro,
yeah.
y'all miss the Humpty dance. I'm still cracking up every day. I just think about that leg.
Doc is talking about Creator Camp. If you're like, what is happening? We did a karaoke night at Creator Camp.
Faye, keep it down, Faye. Stop snitching. That was super good. But I just think it was really cool that, we came into this with very minimal expectations. We just wanted to show that, even for us, we have to learn how to do these things on the fly. And we were very vulnerable. And, I remember this like it's the back of my hand. When we started it, Katie's whole point was, I need more time doing this so I can get better at podcasting.
Squishy situations.
Because I'm going to make this podcast, and so the VHS Club was just popping off, and she wanted to get good at all things podcasting. And she's like, how do I get my thing down so that, Nat and I can do this, that, and the third and make our process better? And I go, well, why don't we just learn how to podcast live? And then she was like, done. And I was like, all right, cool. And next week, she's like, here's the rundown. I was like, wait a minute. I was joking. It's like, you're making me wake up at 5 in the freaking morning. Oops. But here we are. Yeah. And 122 shows later, and a whole bunch of you, get to come every week, and we got the Flow Riders. Like, so yeah, it's really an idea of just, you have to do it. And you can tell in your presentations now, in your confidence, even the way you handled the floor at camp, talking to the whole people, is different from the first time we had to do a group presentation a couple conferences ago. Like maybe 5 or 6 conferences ago. It's like, oh my God, this is going to be crazy. And then now you just stand there, all right, people, we're going to go here, we're going to do this, and let me introduce you to Phil, something of that nature. So even then, like from doing it, you develop that muscle to be just, all right, I can just stand here and be Katie. And that's what this is really about. Allow you to stand in your excellence and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, I guess in closing, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Like, if you go through this like live to tape or one take workflow, right? And you record a video and you pause a whole bunch, or you stumble over things and you say all of the wrong stuff, you still have that video footage. And again, these days, there are so many incredible, easy tools out there. It's not like even 6 months ago where you might have had to send that off to an editor or completely re-recorded. Like, nothing is done for no reason. You now have video that you can put through 85 million different AI tools and help, get the best possible clips, get a transcript from it. Don't even share the video, get a transcript from it and use it as a blog post or an email. Like, everything that you're creating right now has value, even if it feels like you've completely screwed it up. Even if you pause 85 times in it and you swear and you put your face into the microphone and it goes horribly wrong, you likely still said enough that you can send that through to some kind of tool and be able to pull out those best moments. So we're living in a time where it's easier than it has ever been, and we can be more real and raw than ever. So get yourself into the habit of doing this. Hit the pause button, reset yourself. Be like, well, that wasn't what I wanted to say. Okay, I'm going to give myself a 5-second countdown. I'm going to continue on. There are moments where even if you're easy editing and you're not using, the entire footage as is, you're still done, right? You're still done, and you can pull those moments out, and you don't have to worry as much about it being this huge production, right? It's now a simpler production than it ever used to be. So get in the habit of doing it. It does make a big difference. I'm like a great example of this. It was very scary. It was scarier. It was squishy. It was all of the different things. But the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more creative you get, and the more ideas you have, and the more you're able to really make a big difference. And it saves you so much time. The amount of content and things that you can get out of even one quote unquote terrible video is wild these days. Just completely wild.
Yeah. And and again, I think the big one to remember is that you see this all the time in television, and sometimes they leave the bloopers in on purpose.
Yep.
My favorite thing is watching Saturday Night Live when they break the wall. It's so funny. And some hosts make the regular host, some guests make the regular host break the wall every time. And now they're just sitting around and waiting for it to happen. And the last one I saw that was just super funny is, I was going to say Bugs Bunny. Oh my God. Bad Bunny, he broke the crew so many times because he's so nervous and fumbling while he's doing this thing that they cannot help but just laugh at him. And then he starts laughing, and they're going through. This is a nationally televised show with 51 years in the making and very popular, very famous. And they just keep going. Like, and in fact, it adds to it. It lets you know that even the most polished comedians in the planet still screw up all the time.
Yep.
And, don't remember the lines. And I've even seen them tell each other their lines in the middle of the skit. And it just makes it funnier because it's not supposed to be reality. None of this stuff is serious. It just really isn't. And Katie mentioned at the very beginning, I want to make sure we close with this thought. There's so much conversation right now about AI slop. And correctly so. There's a lot of AI slop out there. And the only thing Sora is doing is driving you back into the arms of your real lover, right? So in those songs or whatever where the person leaves because they think they found grass green on a better fence or whatever, and the other person's a total jerk, all they're doing is chasing that person right back to you.
Yep.
And in a way, the AI slop is doing that. They're chasing people back to real people because nobody wants to see that weirdness where your hand just goes right through your face when you go to do one of those numbers and your hand comes out the other side, or you show up, your hands look like this because you're missing fingers, or, the backgrounds don't work, the eyes are the wrong or two different colors, all this other weird stuff that AI does right now. And so they're looking for you. People are looking for their connectivity. They just are. Watch the amount of people that watch streams of people doing nothing, not talking, doing absolutely nothing, and people watch those streams like it's going out of style. So there it is. Yeah, Paul said, you're not doing brain surgery. Actually, that's what happened, Paul, with my brain surgery. They crisscrossed some things. That's what happened. That's why I can't talk today. Oh, to think I have to do another stream after this. Hopefully I can fix my talking between now and then.
I believe in you. You've shaken out the cobwebs here, so you can move on and be more perfect.
I laugh at myself when I say dumb stuff. Like, I'm not even that mad about it. I think it's funny. And again, it just lets people know that, yeah, of course you're going to say something absolutely insane. People do it all the time. It's just super normal.
Exactly.
All right. So, this show, we wouldn't be able to do it without help from our buddies at Shure. So we want to give a big shout out to Shure Microphones. We love our Shures. It's something that we talk about all the time. And if you're getting started, and I know that, a lot of people say, well, you should start with this, or this. And I'm like, if there's one that you don't want to take a shortcut in, it's the shortcut. That's funny. It's probably your microphone. So if you get yourself a Shure, it'll last. I have a Shure microphone in the drawer over here that is well over 40 years old, and it still works exactly like the day it was born. So if you want to find out more and discover what 100 years of making good audio products sound like, go to Shure.com and tell them that you learned it on the flow. then we also want to remind you that you can go to flow.ecamm.com. That's flow.eca2ms.com to subscribe to the podcast, get links, leave us questions, leave us feedback, leave us a review, even apply to be a guest on the show. It all can be done at flow.ecamm.com. So thank you for that.
We did it.
Epic episode. Were you trying to check Slack message while I was doing that?
No, no. I'm
messing
here in
with
this. I'm here in the studio today, and there's lots of background sounds. So thanks for everyone for putting up with my background sounds.
Oh, I didn't even hear the horn today.
Oh yeah. We have the horn, and we have there's a cool, very fun Halloween party happening at Code and Circuit. So there's lots of Halloween shenanigans being built. So I know.
Man, we came camp so early we missed the skeletons on Main Street. Oh, the jack-o'-lanterns, or whatever the heck you call it.
Scarecrows.
Scarecrows, that's the word. See, I told
the
you.
word.
I'm going to drink coffee, bro. I need coffee. My God, I miss it. Okay, so send pictures next time you walk around.
I will. I'll send all the photos.
Did you stand up your giant skeleton in the yard?
Absolutely. He's been up since beginning of September.
That skeleton is about the same height as Paul and Gretchen. Thank you guys so much. Flow Riders, you know what we say around here. Flow Riders, out.
Bye, everyone.